Do you feel like you're attracting narcissists? Do you feel like you're doing something maybe that you're the reason that you're attracting them? Or like what is going on here? There is something going on here. Welcome to my audio diary where I talk about my thoughts. Join me, Catherine, as I navigate thoughts about life and relationships, dating and God, mental health struggles and motherhood, and all things feminine energy. I firmly believe that those of us that are on this self-help journey are just desperate for wisdom, guidance, direction, just any answers. So I'm happy to share any wisdom that I find along the way, but I'm just more happy that you're here and that we're doing this together. So let's get started. So I want to talk about the 9 ways in which you might be attracting a narcissistic person or the narcissist and how we can kind of stop doing that or just things to be aware of or look out for. Okay, so really important. This isn't about blame. This is not saying that the abuse is your fault. You deserved it. You earned it. Nothing. You made your bed. No, 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 no. That's not what I'm saying. What this is about is self-awareness, social awareness, emotional intelligence, growth, because once we're aware of something, we have more control of our life, our outcomes, reality. We have more control of what we actually have control of versus this perceived control. Anything that we talk about is geared towards self-awareness and self-growth. So again, not blaming, not blaming. But let's count the ways, shall we? Way number 1 that you are attracting a narcissist is your lack of boundaries. Narcissists love a person with no boundaries because they don't like boundaries. In fact, if they try to date someone with boundaries, that's probably very unattractive to them. They're probably going to turn the situation around in their mind and blame that person for being a bitch or stuck up or difficult or whatever it is. And then they're going to go on to the next. You don't have boundaries. Easy going. We can do whatever I want all the time. I'm very selfish, so that's great for me. Now, I understand that narcissists camouflage and wear a mask, and some of it isn't about who you are or they are at all in the beginning, and it's all this big love balmy idealization phase. But just generally speaking, let's keep counting these ways, okay? So when you don't have boundaries, you're over-explaining, you're over-giving, and you're under-protecting yourself. And you're tolerating these things early that you shouldn't. And that's kind of the key. It's not like, well, why do I keep ending up with narcissists and like they're not going after so-and-so or whatever. And it's like, well, so-and-so wouldn't put up with that. Just straight up. That's just how it is sometimes. And I understand the concept of grooming and intermittent conditioning. I do. This could happen to anybody. It gets out of our hands all of a sudden. Like it's gone so far. We think they're the problem. There's all the shame. I get that. I understand that. But remember, we're trying to become more aware and take more control and ownership of our dating patterns and our life and our partners, blah, blah, blah. All of it. It's important. So, second way that you might be attracting narcissists, or certainly not detracting them, is over empathy. I love empathy, right? Like my biggest problem is that narcissists don't have empathy. Like I can't get over that. Right. I love empathy. But when your empathy for another person is coming at the detriment of your safety, physical, emotional, spiritual, I don't know, you pick, financial, that's a problem. When your empathy for another person outweighs your protectiveness of yourself, like you don't even have the instinct of self-protection and self-preservation, that's a kind of a problem, right? Because it should be instinctual to have some self-preservation. But I get empathy. I do. However, our empathy, we need to have boundaries on ourselves and our empathy as well. Way number 3 in which you might be attracting the narcissist is people-pleasing tendencies. Narcissists are selfish, entitled takers. And if you're people-pleasing away, they're going to like that. You know, you're doing everything for them. They like that. Okay? You prioritize being liked over being respected, and you avoid conflict at all cost. So again, they want to win. They want to win every conflict. They're going to cause the conflict. They're going to make sure there's a problem. They want to fight about it or have silent treatment or punishment or whatever. And you're running around trying to mediate and manage the other's emotions and by people pleasing and avoiding the conflict and laying down to be that doormat. Okay. That isn't going to, that is going to attract a narcissist. What it's not going to do is attract healthy. And I guess some of this gets into feminine and masculine energy. So it depends on the gender that we're talking about and the energy, the polarity the dynamic that you're showing up into relationships with. That is a little bit different than a general narcissistic relationship, right? Because we have the narcissistic female and we have the narcissistic male. Okay, but let's just keep it general. Number 4, number 4, and this might be just the underlying root of everything. Maybe we should have saved it for last, but that is ding, 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 low or unstable self-esteem and self-worth. Unfortunately. So questioning your value, not honestly understanding that you deserve more. You deserve for a partner to be excited about your excitement. I don't care what it is. Success, achievement, funny moment of the day, fulfilling conversation with a neighbor, whatever it is, your partner should care. You don't feel good? They're not worried? That's a problem. You're crying yourself to sleep and they don't care? And you're questioning if you're asking for too much or what you deserve. Narcissists are going to feed off of that. And if you started with some self-esteem, good self-esteem, high self-esteem, they're going to tear that down systematically as much as they can over time. But you have to secure that and keep it strong because we're not going to let them tear us apart, okay? So when you need external validation, that's going to be a problem. So I think it becomes this thing of checking in with ourselves as we're dating or in new partnerships, because again, we do understand that this is conditioning, but you need to have check systems with yourself before it gets out of control again. Like, am I seeking their validation over my own? They don't want me to insert whatever, wear those pants, join that hobby class. I don't care. Insert it. They don't want me to do that. I'm making decisions on my behaviors for validation externally, right? Like those kind of check-ins. Is this healthy? Or why is that happening? So kind of looking for that along the way. Let's talk about number 5, ignoring red flags early. You feel the discomfort and you override it. You don't trust your gut. You are shutting that voice down. I will speak from experience. This might be true for you. I don't know. But for me, I'm gaslighting myself. I'll have a gut instinct like, no, this isn't okay. You don't like this. You're uncomfortable. And it's like, well, do you have a right to be uncomfortable? Those aren't the words, but it's like the underlying message that I received from my gaslighting parents. So, no, it's okay. Don't people please don't make the other person feel bad or uncomfortable. You like it. It's probably in your head. You are just paranoid and guarded and traumatized. There it is. That's the lie. You're just so traumatized. You see problems everywhere. Like you think everything's a red flag. So you're just kind of gaslighting that inner gut, ignoring the red flags. Or maybe this is like pre even that awareness. You don't even have that level of self-awareness yet. We're just, oh, well, I don't know. Maybe they didn't answer my phone call for 2 weeks because they were emotionally in a bad place. They're having a hard time at work. They're busy with friends. I don't care. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Whatever the garbage is. Maybe we're just excusing that red flag because we don't want to be alone. We really want to hang on to this idea of them. So let's just skip to number 6. Fast bond. You bond quickly. You're in confusing intensity for connection. Connection happens over time when you've been through when you've given parts of yourself to somebody and they've accepted it. Bad parts, ugly parts, whatever's in the closet. I don't know. You've been through hardships and they've loved you through it and shown you respect and kindness and regard and all of those things, right? That's where connection grows. So when someone's coming in hot, they haven't even gotten a chance to know you, but they've never felt this way before, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, man. Okay, cool. Slow down. I'm going to see how I feel about it in a bit. Like maybe in a few months. I don't know yet. Okay. Be careful not to confuse intensity for connection, because the narcissist feeds on that love bombing idealization, loves to confuse that. A secure person's not going to mind. First of all, hopefully they're socially appropriate, where they wouldn't be saying some of these things without the opportunity to know you, right? Like, they securely attach, so they're going to want to date you too. And they would be okay with the pace that you need to move at. Let's move on. Trauma, bonding, familiarity. Gosh. Okay. When we have been through something, so maybe you haven't, but I'm going to bet you that a lot of us have. We either had one or both abusive parents, narcissistic parents, friendships, or other relationships where that were just a little bit selfish or gaslighting or emotionally immature or toxic or whatever. So the highs and lows, the ons and offs, these kind of things, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the feeling one way one day and then a few days later or a few hours or moments later feeling a different way, creates an insecure attachment. And having a hot and cold relationship creates a trauma bond, which is actually addictive physically because there's a chemical release happening in the brain. And similar to the high one would get from video games or gambling or those kind of things, those feel-good chemicals, the person comes back, and it also creates this pattern, this neural pathway that's like, okay, things are bad, but then here comes the high. Like, the good is going to come, and then the fight, and then the good, and then the fight, and it's a cycle. Get off the roller coaster. Okay, number 8, believing potential over reality. You fall in love with who they could be. I don't know about you, but I realized at one point I'm just walking around projecting what I want and see and would do if I were somebody on people's face that I like. I'm like, I like the way you look. This would be a great life for us. I'm just going to play it out in my mind. Yep, that looks great to me. Your potential, well, what would I do? I love me. Pop, let's do that. So that's who you are now in my head. That looks good to me. Let's make that my marriage. That's not real, though. That's not reality. That's a potential of somebody. It's not the reality of them. It's not even the reality of their potential or their wants, maybe. But you fall in love with who they could be. You fall in love with those good moments. You hold on to those good moments. But there's not consistency. Narcissists sell you on the potential. One of their tricks is that future faking. We've named it. It's constantly, this is going to happen in the future. This trip, the wedding ring, the baby, we'll move in together. A, B, C, D, I, shut the up, right? Okay. Number nine, attracting narcissists or finding yourself dating toxic people. You stay too long. You have difficulty walking away. Walking away is hard. And that could be, I don't know, but if you're following me and relating to my life, it could be abandonment. It could be a core abandonment wound, which makes walking away from someone feel kind of devastating, especially hard. It's like a muscle you need to practice. I think therapy would help with that. And because you're going to need to do a lot of grounding, maybe some CBT, some affirmations, right? Like, there's a lot that is going to go into trying to stay regulated when you're triggering a core wound. But if you need to walk away, you need to walk away, even if you have to sit in that pain and work through that. Okay, so let's reframe. Let's reframe all of this. Because again, none of this is your fault. In fact, you should be thanking yourself. Why don't you give yourself a big hug right now and say, thank you, self? Because these are sort of survival patterns. Let me back up. All of this is survival patterns. It's adaptive. So thank you, self. I love the way that you always look out for me and the way that you try to protect me and take care of me. I've got this. I've got this. Right? So when you're people pleasing, that was to get that belonging or that safety or whatever. Maybe you lacked boundaries because boundaries weren't safe in your home growing up, or it was going to isolate you from the group, which is also a basic need of human beings, right? It's like food, water, a roof, belonging, and community and love, right? Like, we need that. So sometimes we I don't even want to use the word abandon ourselves. We adapt to keep ourselves good. And that might be people pleasing or lacking of boundaries or staying or like telling ourselves stories, right? Because we're taking care of ourselves. So thank you, self, for always looking out for me and trying to make sure that I'm safe and happy and healthy. I'm going, thank you, younger self, right? Because younger self was handling it. I'm going to handle it in a new way based on new information that I have now and working with reality, right? So, and then we're going to move from there. So now we are attracting people who are kind and supportive and loving. So these traits protected you and they helped you survive, but they are attracting people that take advantage of those traits because they're lovely. All of this, Jesus calls us to love our neighbor in such a sacrificial way, in such a humble way, like a servant. And that is good. That is good. But you know who takes advantage of that? The devil. And you know who's one with the devil? The narcissist. The narcissist. Okay. So what actually repels narcissists? Let's talk about it. Clear and enforced boundaries. They hate them, okay? They don't like slower pacing in relationships. So if you're trying to move slow, they're not going to like that. Because if you're like, for example, I would like to build on an emotional connection. They don't have an emotional connection to build on. I need that time to like get to know you and like see that you can be there for blah blah. They're like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. So they're going to want someone who's willing to move more fast. Let's do this love bombing stage. Just please believe my words over my actions. That's great. Don't have boundaries and people please. That's also great. So again, we're repelling. So trust your gut early. Walk away at the first sign of disrespect. Disrespect? I mean, it's one thing for somebody to make a mistake and you'd be like, hey, when this happened, that hurt my feelings and, whatever. Like you can have conversations with people, but if somebody is like, excuse me, hold on, belittling you, emasculating you, dehumanizing you, all of that, you need to walk away. You need to walk away. And I would say also not over-explaining yourself. Don't over-explain yourself. So in conclusion, you don't attract narcissists because you're weak. That's not why. You attract them because you're empathetic and giving and hopeful, but without boundaries, okay? Those strengths of yours can be exploited. So it's about directing those strengths to somebody who is equally as beautiful as you are and empathetic and kind and directing it to them. If this episode hit you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Follow for more healing boundaries and breaking of toxic patterns, but definitely spread this because if you resonate with this, then you understand how confusing this all is. And I just want everyone to be able to have some tools to protect themselves from this garbage. So like, comment, share, follow for more. I'll see you next time.